Welcome to this NLD Referee Society training video on working as a team of three, presented by Mike Mulroy, the Society Training Officer. During your refereeing career, there are likely going to be times when you will be asked to work as a team of 3 or 4 officials. The construction of these teams is usually made up of a referee, 2 assistant referees, and possibly a 4th official. There are very rare occasions when you might have a 5th official as well. Looking at the construction of that, the referee is always the leader on the field and the manager of the team, both on and off the field. Each assistant referee or AR will have slightly different roles. The lead AR, AR1, is possibly the reserve referee as well, and AR2 is just a pitch AR. The 4th official could possibly be designated the reserve referee and also the touchline manager. For specific roles, see the appointments and also the desires of the referee. So when we looked in our training session at what makes a successful team on the pitch, we came up with a number of characteristics that must be displayed for any team to work together well. It's ironic that I was watching a team of 3, not from NLD, over the weekend, and the briefing from the referee was this: you two take touch, I will do everything else. I'm sure that you're aware as well as I am that's not the best way to get the most out of your team. So characteristics that we agreed upon in the training session included leadership, communication, clear goals for everybody, making sure that everybody in the team contributes, knowing your role, adding value to the team, rising to the challenge and understanding the challenge of the game as well, most importantly enjoyment, and of course trust. The reason that we have one referee is very simple, and again we asked the teams in our training session what they were, and these are the things that they came out with. The challenge of the game may require more than one referee. The standard of the game, the fact it may be a final or a promotion decider. So then the demands of the game. Scrutiny on our workload as well, and scrutiny on the officials to ensure that we are doing the best job possible. To promote that teamwork, not just within rugby, but within the wider game. To assist in decision making on the field, and again that word come up of trust. So what's going to happen if you're appointed as part of a refereeing or official team? Well, the week before, the referee, being the leader of the team, will make contact with their assistant referees. Things that you should include in this contact: details of the day, the time of arrival, which we would suggest is about 90 minutes prior to kick-off. This allows you to have a little bit of leeway just in case of traffic or other problems. It also means that we can work with the teams. It's their game, don't forget, and therefore whatever they are doing in terms of their preparation and their warm-up, they will want you to fit in around that in terms of briefing. So make sure that you're there in good time. The referee will also tell you what to wear to and from, what colours kit to bring, and any areas of responsibility. So for example, the AR1, you will be also the assistant referee. The referee may also send you a briefing during the week, and this is becoming ever more popular on media such as PowerPoint, so that you can look at what the referee wants from you and also to brief you on the challenge of the game and the teams and their recent performance. So you might see some clips on your email in the week leading up to it. Most importantly, the referee should encourage you to ask questions if you're unsure. So on the day, make sure you're there on time. The referee again will lead the team prior to the game starting, and work with the coaches as to what timings they want, as we've already mentioned, for their briefings. It's important that we all look the same and act the same and present the right image. We are members of a team, unlike the example I gave you a little while ago, so we must foster that team spirit and make sure that everybody understands that it is a team environment for us as well. Getting there early as well allows us to have a wander around, get a feel for the environment, a feel for the temperature of the game. A big final or a prestigious game in a new venue that you've not been to before, or a very famous venue, can often take its toll mentally, and it's good preparation just to go and walk on the pitch if you're at a venue like that for 30 seconds and just stand in the middle and take in the atmosphere. Then when you run out at game time, it won't come as a surprise to you. At some point during the preparation, there will be a briefing of the team from the referee. It's incredibly important that the referee makes it interactive. Refer to the pre-match brief that you may well have sent out during the week and find out whether each person is prepared. If you've given them tasks to achieve, so some referees will often say, I want you to have a look at blue tight head and red loose head from their previous games if footage is available. And I want you to work on that side throughout the game. Then they may want to test your understanding, and they will want you to take an active part in the briefing as an assistant referee to brief the team on those particular players. So if you are given a task to do during the week, please ensure that you do it. The referee will also look at the challenges of the match, talk to you about those before explaining your roles in particular. So in normal circumstances, AR1 will do a stop-start watch with the referee and normally takes the dugout side during the first half. And there's a good reason for this. It means that the vast majority of the time, the replacements take place during the second half, which means that side is going to be much busier. As the reserve referee, the chances that the referee on the field may injure themselves tends to be towards the end of the game, and therefore you want to be focusing on replicating what that referee is doing rather than running backwards and forwards with the bench. So assistant referee 2 keeps a rolling watch and also has the dugout in the second half. Just a point on the timings as well. Some referees will ask for a reminder at 5 minutes to go or 2 minutes to go. But in all cases, it's good practice that when your watch has finished on the stop start is to put a call across the communications just to say the time is now yours. That way the referee knows, without having to look at his watch constantly, that the game is due to end at the next stoppage. Would be included. We will look at the team dynamics and the strengths and the weaknesses of those players in front of us. Key events, so the referee will talk through each part of the game, particularly things like scrums, lineouts, rucks and mauls. And they will brief you on the phases of the game and what your responsibilities are at each one of those phases. Hopefully that will have been dealt with as well in the pre-brief during the week, so that any questions that you have are already formulated. It's incumbent upon all members of the team to make sure that this briefing is interactive. Feel free to ask as many questions as you want that are relevant and that will help to add value to the team as well. So if we look at general AR duties, we have a number of things. The primary function for an assistant referee is touch in goal and foul play, and we often say anything else is a bonus. It's really difficult sometimes not to watch the game and not to watch the ball, but please bear in mind that you're there, if you're an assistant referee, to assist and not to referee the game from the sidelines. You must keep your focus on players, look from a different angle that the referee has, and we'll talk more about that in our masterclasses, and the assistant referee training modules that we will do, but to ensure that you're not all looking at the same picture. It's important that you dwell with the players that are on the ground after play has gone away instead of watching the ball. That is the referee's job, not the job of the assistant. When we look at controlling of time, the fourth official, if there is one, is in charge of time, and if they have a radio as well, they will be able to give those updates on 2 minutes and time expired. The fourth official will also time any sin bins throughout the game. As we've said before, AR1 keeps the stop-start watch, which the fourth official will do as well if there is one, and AR2 keeps the rolling watch. It's important that we make sure we know where the mark is for anything that's happened. Maybe this is a kick ahead, or maybe this is a potential foul play, or a knock on and we're playing advantage in case we have to come back. So it's often said that the trailing AR would keep an eye on the mark, but it's much more accurate if both ARs have a look to see where that mark's going to be. So assist the referee with those correct marks, and also make sure that you understand where that mark is going to be from any kick at all, whether it be out of hand or in open play. So when we are looking at communication, if that communication is happening in real time, then it must be match affecting. In other words, if you just want the referee to give a nudge to the players to give space at the back foot, that's the sort of thing that you would do as a trend in downtime and not in real time. If it's in real time, it must be as an offside call because it was match affecting. Don't forget, you're there as 2 extra sets of eyes and ears to help the referee, and it's the referee who will process the information that you give them, but you must make sure that it is appropriate and timely. Most referees will tell you in the brief they do not want 50-50 calls, particularly offsides at the breakdown. This is simply because when coaches who are videoing games, as many of them do, look back on it frame by frame, you will find that they will notice that the player was actually 1 centimetre onside at the time the ball was lifted. So we don't go near those calls. They're the sort of calls when you in the middle would go, maybe, maybe not, we'll play on and play through that and I'll work harder. The ones that we want there, we'll look at later, are the never onsides. So before you actually make a call as an assistant referee, always ask yourself, am I adding value to the game? One way that you can achieve that is by doing what we call the sniff test. And that's taking a nice deep breath. Do I need to put anything in there? Has the referee already seen it and acted upon it? If not, and I still need to put something in, that's when I'll put something in. Has it affected the game? 13 was clearly offside, but if I take a moment, 12 may have run that player onside, and therefore we can play through it, despite what the crowd behind you are going to be shouting at the time. So when we're adding value, we give the clear and obvious only. Don't forget, you see these things once, you don't get any slow-mo, you don't get a replay. If you're unsure, stay quiet. The referee may well ask you, is there anything there? Be honest. If you didn't see it or you're unsighted, then say so. That's certainly better than guessing. If you have seen something, use real language. Don't use codes. Tell the referee what you've seen. And certainly don't make any gesticulations with your arms or hands or anything else that might imply something is potentially serious, particularly if the referee's decision is that it isn't. We're always remembered for the decisions that we give rather than the ones that we don't give. We can always play through certain things, so make sure that people understand that.
Murray again to George.
So have a look
and
now
Jones.
at this
Such
particular
experience.
video.
Really coming to the fore in this series. Furlong and Vunipola, the Lions looking to play here.
Bear in
these
mind
good
these
conditions.
are international referees.
Sexton, Jonathan Davis, little chip in behind. Elliot Daly goes after it. He's got
now the assistant referee on the near side there is running, pressing the radio button with the flag out for foul play.
Ah, that's a superb kick from the
some
Scarlet.
context, this was not the
Outside
first
centre,
time this
Jonathan
referee
Davis. He's got a lovely
had
left
interfered
foot,
in this game.
and we know how quick Bowden Barrett is, but Daly just cut him off there.
Contact there, rising off the ball. Better work, we check if there's clear obstruction.
Okay. Is it what you want to check?
Yes, I want to check that.
Okay.
So yes, these guys have the benefits of the TMO, but in real time,
all cases,
when you saw that the first time, did you think there was foul play right now?
Well, this might work in the Lions' favour.
Yeah,
Williams.
Israel Daggers just body check Liam Williams. The argument is, does he stand his ground?
There we go. Within 4 steps, he's put
Could
his
Williams have diverted
flag out. He is watching. His head is that
to the rule of
that
the
way,
law? He doesn't have to. This is a penalty though.
but he's more watching the ball.
It's not clear and obvious. The players changed his line. He stayed on his first position.
Correct.
And the red players go on him.
Yes, he stood his
Okay.
line. Correct.
And there you go. Dag did stand his
He doesn't
ground.
take the mark.
And stand corrected.
But
So there was
he doesn't
no
take the mark.
foul
It's up to
play.
you.
There was no need to put the flag in, and the
Maritoje,
referee,
what a start he's made
sorry,
to this
the
game as
assistant
well.
referee did
Mako's
not
been going
add
well, but the
value.
main man is Maritoje. He's carrying, winning lineouts. He's a man on fire at the moment, and he's going to need to be because the All Blacks.
So when we put that communication into the referee, how are we going to do that? Well, first of all, we hope that we have radio communications, and that is the norm these days. However, there are going to be occasions when they may not work. Are they ready? Are they charged? Are they functioning? Is there any interference? So we must have a backup plan if they fail, or in certain circumstances on busy weekends for referee societies, they may not be available. So we have to have a backup with small indications. That requires a lot more concentration from the referee, who has to be looking at their assistants an awful lot. We quite often refer to a seamless call. So we'll talk about that now. And what is seamless? It's a call that is made in live time without any flag in indication. It is made just over the communications so that the people watching the game and the players on the pitch do not know where that call has come from. It gives the referee information that they can use to decide on a course of action while play is still going on. This is where it is incredibly important as an assistant referee that we use that sniff test. Ask yourself this question: do I need to input this right now? If I don't, we hold it back and we give it in downtime as some advisory information. The conversation that we have gives no clues, and you will find that referees will very often ask questions back. They will ask you, is that more than a penalty? They will ask you, can I play on? And those answers that you need to give need to be succinct. And due to communications and noisy environments, we always use yes, 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 or no, no, no. Do not please use the phrase play on, because over the communications in a busy, noisy environment, it sounds very similar to knock on, and that could see a game stopped for no reason. Those are the times when we wouldn't be adding value. So those parts covered, the referee will probably look at the different phases. So they tend to start with the scrum, that being one of the most important ones and difficult ones to manage. So first of all, it's important that we get our positioning right. So we usually mirror the referee. Mirroring the referee means, can I see the ref's face? If I can, I am going to stand in line with the scrum. If I can't and I can see the referee's back, then I'm going to stand on the offside line of the defending backs, i.e. 5 metres from the back foot. The referee will often talk about pictures at the scrum and what they want to see. This will be in terms of the props, what they are looking for from feet, hips, shoulders and binding, and it should be a nice arch. If it's unstable, some referees will accept a reset call for you, so that will be reset, 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 so that the referee has definitely heard it. But if you're going to give a reset, you must give something from each side. So loose head needs to bring feet underneath hips, be in a position to push. Tight head needs a longer bind. If you only give input for one of the props, understandably the other one may say, well, if he's doing that wrong, it's a penalty. So we always put things in for each if it's a reset. So if there is an issue with the scrum, ask yourself these questions first. This is part of your sniff test. What is the scrum trying to do at the moment? Does the pack want to drive forward, or are they holding the ball at 8 feet ready for the ball to be played away? Where are they on the pitch? And as I say, is the ball at 8 feet? Before you make a call, depending on the referee, then you should do those things first. Again, ask yourself, as an AR, do I need to make the call? And can the referee play away from this? In all instances, is it match affecting? If it is, then the call that we give is against the offending team, and we call with colour, colour, colour and pause. The referee will probably look at you, blow the whistle and raise the arm for the penalty. Whilst they're doing that, it's difficult for them to hear, which is why we pause. Once they've blown that whistle, then we give clear words that the referee can repeat. So as an example, we might say red, 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 pause until the referee is ready, red, 1, driving across, or blue, 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 pause again, blue tight head, pulling down. But always look where the ball is and what was in the referee's brief. Some referees, if the ball is at the 8 feet and they're looking to get it away rather than driving, will want it as a red 1 angle, and they can play what's called a silent advantage, so that if 9 or 10 knock the ball on, he will come back. Other than that, we'll play away and we'll address it as advisory at the next scrum. Other referees want it as colour, 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 and they will bank it, move away, play away and come back if they need to. But again, if they do play away, it's important that we come back to it and just repeat it as an advisory at the next scrum. Therefore, the referee can pass that message on and hopefully manage the situation.
9, 6, don't play at 19. White, white, white. He went to his knees, Something me.
So there's a brilliant example of assistant referee communication. The referee had one small blow on the whistle. That to me suggests that he was going to reset. Straight away, the assistant referee, Paul Dix, on that occasion, put in white, 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 and then waited. The referee changed that whistle tone and put his arm up for the penalty. Paul then puts in, went to his knee, and the referee just simply repeats those words. It's very, very easy.
Keep that space.
Talking to me back rows.
Yeah.
Second.
Tricep.
Bench, big weight.
Crouch.
Chest.
Bind.
First man.
Set.
So what would you put in there? The ball has been put in by black. The ball is at 8 feet. Although the gold loose head's elbow was always down in what we call in a negative position, the black tight head had his elbow raised and was pushing down. That's caused the collapse. However, can we play away from that? If we can, because the ball is there, it's won by the putting inside and it's them at fault once the ball is at 8. In that case, let's play away and we can revisit that at the next scrum with an advisory to Harry to say at the last scrum, gold loose head has got elbow down, but the black tight head pushes down on his shoulder. And Harry will probably come to this side and manage that proactively.
Coach.
One. Sing.
Set.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Ready.
So the call there was against red. And although you can't hear it, the call was red, 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 tight head angle. We need to look at cause and effect, and this is something for all officials, not just assistant referees putting those calls in. The first issue was from the white or blue loose head who set up with his elbow down and his arm trying to pull the tight head in, and he was successful at that. And as soon as red put the ball in, white drove with their loose head taking the tight head in. So really the call should have gone against white. It's not unheard of, but it is not common that the putting inside will do something illegal. So you must look at cause and effect. Whilst it looked as though red 3 had his hips out, the cause was white 1 pulling him down and in. So be careful. Again, if you're unsure, don't say anything.
Step in the hips. Hips, your tap, mate.
Crouch.
Oh, chest.
Bind.
Hold.
Set.
1, 2, 3, 4. Now.
Now look at the line out. A couple of things if you're an assistant referee. The first one is this: do not make a physical mark. If you do, you are setting yourself up, because if the referee doesn't make his mark on the 5 metre line for the defending side, which most referees will do, and then the hooker stands on the mark and you want the hooker to move, he will complain and say to you, but that's the mark you've made. So stand where the ball has gone out. If you can, set the defensive team on a line on the edge of a painted line, so those ones that come out from the 10 metre line, for example, something that is easily visible on the pitch to the officials and to the players, but do not make a mark for the hooker. It's your responsibility, if it's on your side, to manage the gap, to make sure that the attacking team, if they are just setting their own gap, are not too close, and also to make sure that teams are not closing the gap, and to feed that into the referee. If you need to, in order to manage that and prevent a penalty early on, then it is okay to say, stop, 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 we need a bigger gap. And the referee will stop the game, blow the whistle, and reset the gap before the line out. The assistant referee will also manage the hooker. preventing the sidestep. It is quite common now for the hooker to set in the middle of the gap and then to take a small step towards his own team. So you're there to make sure that the hooker doesn't do that. There's no point you looking straight down the line if the referee is right at the back, and most referees with assistant refs on the pitch will normally stand towards the back. So some referees will tell you in their brief what to watch, and we'll come on to that in a minute. But we want you to stand on a position that is slightly on the defensive side. The referee will normally stand in a position that's slightly on the attacking side. So the watch lead. Some referees will ask you to look low down, so shoulder height and below, for any contact, any sacking of the lifter. The sacking of the lifter is grabbing and bringing to ground the lifter rather than the ball carrier. That's incredibly dangerous, particularly if the guy who's gone up is still in the air. Others will tell you they want a big picture or a holistic view of it. We'll all look at everything, because that way it's more likely that we'll get something if it's there. Your responsibility is to ensure that the throw reaches the 5 metre line. If the referee's at the back, that's very difficult for them to see. There are two things to do with the flag. Depending on the games you're doing, may well depend on how you have been instructed. So, for example, in many national games, they will tell you to, once the hooker's there, is to then bring the flag and the arm back, get into position so that you can watch the opposite side through the gaps for any foul play. Others will say you need to keep that flag up until the ball has reached the 5 metre line, and therefore line out is now in progress, and then bring it down. The arm that goes out, if the ball goes to touch, as some general thoughts here for assistant referee, as soon as the ball is in touch, and it is definitely in touch and not going to blow back, that is when the flag goes up. That's the time to concentrate as an assistant referee. That's when we need to look at where the ball is. Is it being touched? Is it being prevented by anybody? Is there any off the ball incidents? It's very easy to go to sleep once the whistle has gone, but as an assistant referee, that's the time for you to wake up and keep a very alert eye on what's going on around you. The arm goes out to the throwing inside once a quick throw cannot be taken. So once the ball has been touched, or once there is a line formed with two from each side approaching the line of touch. If you're 15-20 meters away, don't run with your arm out. It looks really stupid, and you will probably be criticized for it. If we have comms, then simply no quick over the radio will alert the referee, because that's when they will blow their whistle, at the point that a quick throw-in can no longer be taken. So if that ball does not reach 5 meters, there are a number of ways, depending what you've done with the flag, to alert the referee. One is if you keep the flag up until the ball has gone 5 and you keep it there, then that alerts the referee that the line out needs to come back if they're looking. There is another way of doing it if you have put the flag down, is to immediately put the flag back up. Again, it relies on referees looking, and these are particular for when we don't have communications. If we have radios, however, both of those issues with the flag still apply, but we can also put in over the radio, not 5, not 5. So make sure you know how you're going to input that if the ball doesn't reach the 5 metre line. Then we look at the foul play and other things that might be. So, other things that we're going to look for. First of all, is there any contact with the jumper, the man in the air? Is it dangerous? Is it just a competition for the ball and the players have bumped into each other whilst they've both gone for the ball? Is it material? Can this be dealt with in downtime or at the next line out? And more importantly as well, did it affect the next phase of play, likely to be the maul setup? So if it has affected the way that the team wants to play the ball, whether it be dangerous in your opinion or not, it is material and we would input that. If it hasn't affected the maul setup, because that's what the team were always going to do, is go for the maul. They were always ready. The player has come down and it's not dangerous. He's landed okay and the maul has been set up. We play through. We'll hold that call as an assistant referee. If the referee's seen it and decides upon that, that's fine. That's up to the referee. As an assistant referee, hold that call and we'll give it at the next line out or in downtime. Were the lifters sacked, as we've talked about before? Did they sack the ball carrier, the jumper, before his feet hit the floor? Was there any obstruction from the attacking team? This quite often happens, even from level 6 downwards, where the lifters who have taken the man in the air, as they're bringing him down, they often step sideways, bring the ball carrier, now the catcher, behind them so that that man cannot be tackled or sacked, and therefore they are in front and it's obstruction. That's a penalty on the 15. So you would need to input that if it's blue throwing in as blue, 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 blue lifters obstructing sack. If there is a non-compete, this is where people do not go up for the ball, or more particularly, they don't compete for the maul after the ball has caught. So normally they don't go up. That's a very good indication, and they then do not engage in the maul or try not to. There's a number of things. This is usually incredibly unsuccessful in most levels of rugby. Despite coaches, despite players, this is largely unsuccessful as a tactic. So the first thing to say is, where is the ball? If you can see the ball at the front, and we have particularly open radios, then give that to the referee. The ball is at the front. If you are clear that the ball has been transferred, give that to the referee. Ball has been transferred. That will give the referee the time to tell the team to play it before we need to do anything else. So always be certain of where that ball is. Now, we've touched upon it before, but the quick throw in. First of all, look at the regulations. Has the ball been touched? If it's yes, then there's no quick throw in. Is it the same ball? And this has happened even in international games. And has it gone back across the 22? This is very difficult to spot. It's quite a technical one. But for example, if the ball was kicked from the 10-meter line or outside a player's 22, and from there it has travelled and gone into touch somewhere between the opposition 10-meter line or halfway line and 22, and it's crossed into touch there, it's bounced, and then the player, because momentum is going forward with the ball, the fullback runs up and gathers it, and it is now where he's picked it up inside the 22. Law says that you can take a quick throw in anywhere from where the ball crosses the touch line, i.e. what will be the line of touch, or towards your own try line. Now, if that player takes the quick throw in to a teammate or even to himself, that's perfectly fine, and that player, the receiving, may well decide to kick for touch. Again, that is perfectly acceptable. However, if the ball crossed the touch line in front of the 22 and the player then kicks it from inside the 22, it has been taken in. Therefore, there is no gain in ground, and we must come back if needs be, because it's gone straight out to the point at which the player kicked it. So the next look at it is the maul and what we need to look at. First of all, identify the position of the ball. Where is it? What are players trying to do with it? As a referee working with a team of 3, I would always stay in field if it's anywhere inside or near the 15-meter line. I wouldn't want to come into the closed channel simply because there's another referee there who's perfectly capable of managing it themselves. So most referees will ask you to, as an assistant referee, to manage that 15-meter channel on your side. So what are we going to look for? First of all, defenders who are on the edge. Are they changing their bind, or what we call swimming down the side? Depending on the type of communication system that you've got, will depend on how the inputs go. So in this case, you might have blue defending and you see blue 7 who is changing his bind. If your communications work only on push to talk between AR and referee, you can go blue 7, no, blue 7, don't change your bind, blue 7, don't do that. And at the point where blue 7 is not complicit and you need the referee to intervene, that's the time to open the communications and say blue 7 out. The referee then can simply repeat your words. Blue 7 out. If you have open communications, as many competitions now have, then it is a little bit different because the referee will be hearing that and may well intervene ahead of that time. But if you want blue 7 out, again, it's get blue 7 out. Or you call it as an offence, and we'll talk about that in a second. Things you also need to watch for are people being pulled out of the maul, and particularly where they're thrown to ground. This is foul play, and it needs to be penalised. And there has been a big focus in the 2018-19 season, particularly in games that involve a team of 3, where this needs to be managed. If you are pulling a player out of a maul and taking them to ground, you're committing the offence, whether you're the attacker or the defender, and you're likely to be penalised. Those need to be put in. Again, at the maul time, we will try and manage things with seamless calls if possible. If it's against the attacking team, the team with the ball, a seamless call here would need to also involve the colour 3 times because it's unexpected. You would imagine that if blue are going forward and red are defending, that the call that's being anticipated, if there is one, by the referee would be against red. So you may say red 7 changing bind, red 7 in at the side, red 7 collapsing. Those are expected calls. If it's now against a blue player, by going blue, 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 that heightens the awareness for the referee and it stops any confusion of the referee awarding in the wrong direction. The maul is a very dynamic phase of play, and it's important that we are not static. We must keep moving if we're an assistant referee, and we must mirror the ref as well. So if the referee is stood at the back and we're stood at the back and we're both looking at the player with the ball at the back, nobody can see what's going on the other side. So if the referee is midline, we want to be moving across all of the line between the back foot of the defender and the back foot of the attacker. If the referee is more towards the attacking side, we want to be more towards the defending side, looking for that guy taking legs, looking for the one dropping underneath and collapsing. Also helps if that does go down and blue are going forward. In this case, we can say brought down by blue, because that means there is no penalty there. Blue have taken that to ground. But if the red player is at the bottom, you can say taken down by red. Wait with those players, make sure there's no flare up or foul play, etc. And also wait to get the number because of any sanction that may follow. It's important that as an assistant referee, you wait and get the number. So manage those players, as we've talked about, and get the number of any offenders in the maul. And that applies in any phase of play at all. So have a look at this video now at the maul and we'll see what happens.
Advantage. That's one thread.
Free ball. Keep going then. Keep going then.
So that was it. The maul was formed, and then the attempted sack came in, and the purple player was at the bottom. You see the assistant referee slightly on the attacking side here, rather than defending.
One's collapsed, Craig. One has collapsed.
Two as well.
So the call to Craig Maxwell Keys is that one has collapsed. He's seen two on the other side. There's definitely a penalty coming there. One has collapsed, Craig. That's their seamless call. I would suggest there that we're really going to say yellow one collapsing rather than one has collapsed. But in the heat of the moment and with communications the way they are between people who know each other well, things like this often happen.
Wasps set up. Thomas Young on in the back row now. So we've got both the directors of rugby's boys on the pitch, Thomas Young and Harry Malander. That's never happened, certainly in the Premiership. And a penalty to the visitors.
So the communication there is very clear. Contact in the air. The referee repeated contact in the air and put his arm out for advantage. Have a watch again. There's the contact. And he's pulled him backwards onto his off his feet. Therefore, it affects the maul setup. Great communication. Contact in the air. Referee arm out for advantage. Contact in the air. What I would do there is give a colour to say the contact in the air, but it's assumed it's from the defensive side. Referee holds out an arm. There's nothing coming because it did affect the maul setup. Therefore, the referee blows for the penalty.
Yeah, back. That's
it. Number 7 in front of the ball carrier.
Will be arrested.
So that was a communication between me and Harry that 7 had steps across and is obstructed. But did you notice how the wonderful assistant referee there made sure that he didn't go to sleep when the whistle went, but he watched the players off the ball and made sure that there was no flare-up. So it's very, very clear, although it was on Harry's side, we both put it in, I wasn't sure Harry had seen it, that 7 had obstructed the maul setup.
Hayward today. Mark his 33rd birthday over the summer. 8th season, there's so much experience. To do some pulling back in this match.
Dixon just asking if Garvey's there legally. He's come in at the side or round the side. It's great work from that.
So, the first thing there was that blue 6 was not penalised. This is not a good example. Blue 6, whilst he started legal, then moved his bind around the side to latch onto the ball carrier, and then when he latched onto the ball carrier, he changed his bind again twice more on the ball carrier to prevent that ball coming out. That was an AR call. It's close. It's only 12 to 14 metres in from the touchline. That should have been an AR call that he was there in an illegal position. So that moves us on to the tackle and the ruck. Now, most referees will tell you that 99.9% of the time, the tackle and the ruck area is their responsibility. That said, there are those other times when the referee is working infield and you see the hand of God diving in there and preventing the quick ball or dragging the ball backwards away from the side that's won it. And those are the times that you do call it in. The key at the breakdown is to move into a position to see what the ref can't. So this is where we talk about triangulation. Make sure that 3 people on the pitch, officials, are not looking at the same thing at the same time. If the referee is on the attacking side and close to you, then get in the defensive side and have a look at what's going on. If the referee moves into the defensive line because it's going to be a pod, then you get into the attacking line. Look for things off the ball. If he's looking at stuff where the back foot is for the attackers, where the ball is, you're around the other side as an assistant referee looking for any foul play with people coming in from the defending side. Are they taking out people in the ruck? Is there any foul play going on there as well? When the ruck is finished, when the breakdown is finished, make sure as an assistant referee that you wait with the players that are still on the ground. This is the problem area. This is where flare-ups occur, and this is where foul play occurs. And it's our responsibility to manage that. So even if there is a box kick, then we wait until the players are up and away before we go to the next phase. And then we don't jog. We sprint to get to the next phase and do the next job. Of course, there's the classic example in the Wasps against Tigers final at Twickenham, and I think it was Neil Back who, after Joe Worsley had beaten him in the air, stolen one of his line-out balls, that as their ball's gone away, referee's gone, assistant referee had gone as well, and as Joe is running back to the next phase, Neil Back comes past him, swings a punch from behind into his face, and Joe has to have 11 stitches on the inside of his mouth. And that was missed by all of the officials. So you've got to be aware of those once a season moments. Monitor the offside if you're on the far AR, but be aware only to call those that are never onside or those that are material. Do not, as we said earlier, go near the 50-50s. So 12 is offside, but it's a pick and go. Or 13 is offside, it's going wide, but 12 runs them onside. Sniff it, hold it. A good call to make here would be 12 offside and material, or 12 offside and made the tackle. If you can't see the number to start with, tackler offside or blue offside and made the tackle. That alerts the referee that it is material. You then have a responsibility, as does your fellow AR, to get the number of that player. So make sure that you dwell with that as well. Remember, we're looking for the clear, the obvious, and material only, and we're not going to go near any timing issues. The ones we really want, and the referee will really want, are those the players that have never retreated onside. So they've come out of the tackle, dropped back a little bit, never got onside, and then they affect the next phase of play. And that's the key. It must be match affecting. So then we move to an open play. Most of the time a referee will say the AR can manage anything in the 15-metre channel. And that includes chasers on box kicks. This is where the far side AR has a much better view, but again, don't go near timing issues. It's the ones that started in front of the box kick. So if you're in that channel, you've got 2 jobs. First of all, the chances are there are players on the ground, so you must dwell with them, watch them and ensure that there is no foul play while they all get up safely. The second thing is you can see usually whether the near side winger is in front, and if that player is in front, as he passes you, call him to stop. Winger, wait, you're in front. Again, the far side AR or any other can go winger in front or 11 in front. In front means we are going to be able to manage that player. When that player is now offside and not manageable anymore, that's when we would use the offside call. So you may hear a call as a referee of 11 blue in front. As a referee, you're going to then manage 11 blue with 11 blue, wait, stop, those kinds of words. An assistant referee would be well placed to then upgrade that to 11 blue, now offside, if that player did not respond to managed calls. That's when we know we have to do something about it. Make sure that both ARs get a mark from any kick and also where it's played next. Look at your fellow AR, look at whether they have moved or whether they are managing players on the ground and dwelling with players on the ground, because although they could get the mark for the kick, they may not be able to get the mark from where the ball was next played. So if we can all do that as a team of 3, then so much the better. We're less likely to miss something. If it's anywhere around the 22, then make sure you know whether it is inside or outside, and any one of the team of 3 can communicate that. But in all instances, make sure as an assistant referee you dwell with any players on the ground. So moving, we look at what happens when we are in goal. Some referees will tell you in the briefing that they will take the last pass, and then you move in goal. Others will have different things, that you take the last pass and they'll move in goal, and vice versa. So the key here is, if you're an assistant referee, make sure you're mirroring the referee. If he's in goal, we come out of goal. If he's in the field of play, we go in goal where possible, but still with our focus of touch in goal and foul play as our priorities. What we're going to try and do is see if there is a grounding. Watch for any foul play in the build-up and after the try has been scored. Do not switch off. The same as a line-out, once that whistle goes, is not the time to relax. It's the time to wake up and be positive. If the try is clear to everybody, as an assistant referee, don't do anything. If you see it, particularly if the referee is looking or was coming around the other side, indicate with a thumbs up, a big thumbs up in front of your body, not up in the air like Fonzie or anything else, just a big thumbs up touching your chest so that the referee can see it. Or if you have open mics, then try. This also goes if the referee cannot see it, but you are 100% certain that it is grounded properly. Then try. It just like a seamless call, the players and the spectators are unlikely to know where it's come from. Therefore, the team of 3 works well. If you're certain it is not a try, then the words check, or if comms are down or the referee looks at you, hold the flag in 2 hands in front of your body and do nothing else. No shaking of the head, waving the hands or anything. Hold the flag in 2 hands in front of your body. The referee will go time off and separate the teams. The referee will then come to you or invite you onto the pitch and lead the conversation with usually 1 of 2 questions, although whilst these may be protocol, there is a growing trend to just have a conversation. So be prepared for that. The normal questions that you may be asked are try, yes or no, which means the referee has no idea and the decision is yours, and you simply say yes or no. If it is a no, you must know where the restart is going to happen. The other one would be, is there any reason I cannot award the try? This means that the referee is fairly confident, the referee has seen a grounding, If you've seen a knock-on, then that's your time to say so. If you know that the last pass was forward, or there was an obstruction, or some foul play that means that this cannot be awarded, this is the time to say, any reason why I cannot award the try? Yes, the last pass was forward. And again, you must know when there is going to be a restart, where that is going to be, and how. So, most referees will only want check, check, check if it is definitely not. Not because you as an assistant referee don't know about the last pass, whether it was forward or not. Some referees will want you to have that conversation. Some referees will openly ask that question after stopping play. You're not expecting it. You've not put anything in as an assistant referee, but the referee will stop, time off, move away, and come and say to you, I am happy with the last pass. Is there anything else? Or, I haven't seen the last pass. Have you? So you must be prepared for something that you're not expecting. So let's have a look at one now at Leeds, well, Headingley with Leeds Beckett.
Just step. Just step away. Okay, I've got no clear grounding. Try yes or no?
No clear grounding, no try.
Okay, so go back to the penalty.
Again, I've got no clear grounding. Try yes or no. I've got no clear grounding, so we go back for the penalty. Good use of assistant referee. Assistant referee is getting himself in goal to see. Still maintaining a watch on what else is happening around. So then, assuming the try has been scored or there's a penalty awarded and there is a kick at goal. As assistant referees, we have a number of responsibilities and things to do. First of all, we will put each referee or assistant referee in a slightly different place. The AR closest to where the kick is going from comes short, i.e. close to the posts, and stays on the near post, and will also watch for kicks going over or under the crossbar. It's only that AR that will have a good view. The furthest AR, the one on the opposite side, goes longer and watches for between both uprights. Now make sure that you do not stand still if the ball is moving around or it's close to anything. Get in the best position you can after that ball has been kicked. If you've got the best view, on the radio or without radios, a nice loud "my call," you're taking responsibility. It's the same as a player saying, I'm going to catch that kick. Then, if you've taken that responsibility, it is all down to you and you have to make the decision. Do not be afraid of that decision. If either of the ARs at any time thinks that it is a no, then a loud no call is necessary. Even if we have radios, it's no. And it's loud because we are playing to the crowd, the players and everybody else. And it's about that viewing us as a team of officials making the right decision together. If you're unsure or you are pretty sure that it has gone, let's say, under the post, under the crossbar, and the other referee goes yes, and you know for certain that that's got to be challenged, then we challenge with a check, 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 and keep your flag down. This is the time where we take our time with time off to get to the right outcome and use plain language. And the final decision rests with the referee. This is very similar to if a ball goes over the top of a post. We don't have an automatic yes and no. It's what we're trying to avoid. And that's why the one with the best view, we want to take the lead. If it is okay, then we want a loud yes. And again, this is because we're playing to the crowd. Radio's open is fine, so the referee can hear as well. But if you're the short referee, the one at the front, AR, and it is clear, it's on your side, it goes over. Once you're certain, turn to the other assistant referee, and in a big, clear, loud voice, we have a yes and a nod. If you're both together, even better. But once that nod and the yes goes, then flags go up together, and I'd suggest holding them up there for 3 seconds. So yes, up, 2, 3, down, and then we move off together. For goodness sake, do not wave your flag and your arms to say that the ball didn't cross the crossbar or go between the posts, i.e. it's unsuccessful. We don't do that. We don't wave the flags sideways. If the kick is unsuccessful, then keep still and it's a no. And that is it. Anything else looks silly and is not correct. And as one member of our society can confirm, when you do that and you're not watching, the ball will bounce and hit you in the nether regions. So the kick is a penalty and it's unsuccessful. You help the ref if you're the AR. Has the ball gone dead? Tell him, ball dead, ball dead. Knows what to do next. The referee may be 30, 40 or more meters away and cannot see that dead ball line. Watch for any grounding of the ball over the try line, and then if it's unsuccessful, get out of the way of players. You don't want to be between attackers and defenders in any situation as a referee. So if the play continues, work round the back of them and sprint. Get back into position very quickly and never ever turn your back on play, because that's when things happen that you need to be aware of. So when it comes to dealing with foul play, if it's likely to be a penalty only, so this is the sort of thing like a seatbelt tackle that we talked about pre-season. We want to see these as those seamless calls that we talked about earlier on. So green 4, high tackle, penalty only would be a decent call. The referee may ask you more than that. What type of tackle was it? In which case you can expand and say seatbelt. May ask you if you can play on, because the referee has gone with play and doesn't know what's happening behind. And if you need him to stop for whatever reason, we call stop, stop, stop. In all circumstances, we need to work as a team of 3. However, some referees will say if it is against the attacking team, i.e. the team with the ball, then we want the flag in and I have foul play against, stop the game. Again, we always take the lead from the referee's briefing if that's what they have asked for. Your aim is not to be noticed. If we don't need to flag, we don't do it. We don't need to stop the game, we don't need to stop the clock, and we don't need to have the camera zoomed in on us and the mics turned up. So let's just make a decision over the comms. That was said by Wayne Barnes. because the TV cannot turn the mics up for the assistant referees until time goes off and they have those conversations. So Wayne Barnes in particular likes those seamless calls. So let's make sure that we work as a unified, seamless team wherever possible.
And harrying and winning possession.
And here's the man himself.
Releasing his men out wide. One of them is Eli Walker. Calls for a high challenge. Referee agrees. Advantage being played to the Ospreys.
So the TV heard nothing there, but we saw the assistant referee immediately reach for the button. No flag to indicate foul play. It was penalty only. Wayne Barnes immediately sticks his arm out to signal the advantage for the high tackle, and play moves on from there.
Change, don't change. Don't change. Green 5 to the man back. Greg is in touch. Greg, stop the game, please. Stop the game. Greg, stop the game, please. Time off. Time off. Is it touch? Is it touch?
It is touch. I have a call of 5 green pulling back the blue man before that. Were you happy with that?
So have we got a penalty against 5 green?
Yes, we have.
Okay, so foul play against green 5.
Yes,
okay, thanks very much. So 5. Okay, pulling a player off the ball. You're pulling the 9.
In touch.
Back you go, please, Ed.
So not a brilliant way of doing it, but we got to the right outcome in the end. And that was clearly against 5 green. The referee hadn't heard it in the first instance. So as an assistant referee, that's not the time to ignore it. Referees will often say in their briefing that give me the information. If I hear it, I will acknowledge it, even if I say I'm playing on or it's okay for me. In that situation, the referee has taken full responsibility and we carry on. Do not feel bad about it. Let's just carry on the game. In this case, the referee clearly didn't hear. The assistant referee then had 2 options. 1, just to ignore it, or 2, to tell him to stop the game and then deal with it. And that's what he did. So the words weren't great in that situation, and I'm sure that the assistant referee will learn from that, and it would have been dealt with on review as well. However, we got the right outcome, and that's the most important thing. So moving foul play a little bit. If we're talking about a yellow card, and in your opinion it should be a yellow card for whatever you've seen, this is the time where we put the flag in to indicate that as an assistant referee you have seen the foul play. You're now communicating to the players around and all of the spectators who may well think they've seen it as well. Don't stand there unless you have to. Play may still go on and you have a responsibility to continue the play, however, remembering the buzzword of dwell. If there are players on the ground or players that could be involved in any foul play or afters, that's where we're going to stay and hang around anyway. So, put the flag in, communicate what you've seen. I have foul play against white. If it's against the attacking team, add the words stop the game. We can't play advantage if it's against the attacking team. The referee, if it's against the defending team, may play advantage. If it's escalating badly and you need to stop the game, then stop the game, or stop, stop, stop. In all cases, the referee will lead the conversation as to what's happened and what they may well have seen.
Advantage over Yamada. That's the turn. Yamada beats him. Liam Williams, did he obstruct the winger? Alan Wynne-Jones, of all people, is back.
Oh, now then, this will be interesting because he turned. Very difficult to say if it was intentional.
There was a call from an AR to say, I have foul play, stop the game, because there was no advantage ever going to be made there.
What do we got?
14 is beaten in, gets the ball, 15 Gray steps across and blocks his run.
Okay. Pretty cynical in this area.
Yes.
Thinking yellow card?
Yes.
Number 15.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm not sure if it's clear enough if he's going to get to...
No, I don't think it's a penalty try, but it's definitely a cynical infringement.
For me, yes.
Okay.
Touch judge John Lacey.
Yeah.
And Liam Williams is in trouble.
Where it landed. Captain.
So you see where it landed. Really important that we don't stop. We watch everything.
Deliberately change his angle. It's pretty cynical in this area. He's going to the bin.
Short and sweet.
It's here where it landed. No.
Again, good play. Good variety.
Good option, yeah.
Now this is where we would put the flag
in.
in.
Great kick as well, and he does turn. He does.
And it's this one there.
Penalty, and it is, you have to say, cynical yellow card. So the officials have
he knew exactly what he was doing,
well.
and he did it deliberately.
Again, good play. You can't switch
the flag
off.
came in, and the call was, I have foul play against Black 15, who then pretended it hurt himself.
3 points coming up, I think.
Liam Williams has 10 minutes to nurse that ankle he's injured.
What's the ice in it? No. Never ever going to be.
Now, as John Lacey said there are plenty of defenders.
Covering.
There's no cover. Sorry, there's plenty of cover. No attackers there. There's no talk of a penalty try. Although Marius did touch upon it, and that was dismissed very quickly. So it is a yellow card for cynical and deliberate foul play. So if we are thinking as an assistant, it is a red card offence. Then we need to again put our flag in to say that we have seen the offence. And in terms of communication, we change the words very slightly. I have serious foul play against, stop the game. Most referees, if you put in the word serious foul play, will not want to play through and play advantage if it's a red card offence. This is simply because it looks bad if you play through and then come back and red card a player. Coming back and yellow carding the player is acceptable. I had a call in Dubai with Richard Horton in the middle where I'd witnessed a late tackle that lifted a man above the horizontal and put him on his back. And I called it in. Richard said, can I play on? To which I said, yes, yes. He then said, is this more than the penalty? And my reply was, yes, yes. He went 60 metres downfield with play. The try was scored and came back to award the yellow card. That's not the case in any instance where it may be a red card. So just again, the referee will lead the conversation, and that conversation is very, very structured. Is the process. These are critical moments of the game. The stress levels, the adrenaline levels are heightened. As an assistant or a referee, it is now time to think about what you have actually seen, to give yourself some time and space, and think about what you're going to say as well. So the referee will go time off and move the players well out of the way. Use the lines. You, that side of the 10-metre line, you, that side of your 10-metre line. That gives you 10 metres from any players in which to talk. As a referee, you'll invite the assistant onto the field to a place where they can't be heard by everybody else. And if you're the referee and you've seen anything, lead with what you have seen. Always say, right, I have seen or I have not seen. If the referee has seen anything, they will lead the conversation and ask the assistant referee if they have anything to add. If you've not got anything to add, then say so. The referee will make a recommendation. If you've not got anything to add, I'd suggest you go with that recommendation, otherwise you would have added something. So do not use words of think or just. He just did this. I think he did that. The referee, as I say, leads that. Get the facts correct first. So let's say we are dealing with a high tackle. Where was the contact? Where was there any force? What was the outcome? And was there any mitigation? So as an example, I have a high tackle from blue 7 who has made direct contact with his shoulder to the head of the player. It is with force. And look at the outcome. That player is now receiving treatment. Was there any mitigation? Was the other player ducking? And when we talk about ducking, remember that we're talking about below the level of their own hips. The referee may add, is there any mitigation? But let's get the facts right. Once we have established the facts, the referee will then decide, usually on a sanction. You may on occasion get a referee who will say, what is your recommendation? If you do, be very careful. Based upon your call initially, in this case of serious foul play, or just foul play for a yellow card, in your opinion, then the referee may say, are we talking yellow card? Are we talking red card? What's your recommendation? If he says the recommendation and you think it's a yellow, it's more than a penalty. Make the referee make the decision. The referee should process the information you've given as an assistant and come up with a decision. If you disagree, then you must challenge but add new facts or reinforce what you've done. So let me say that again. I have contact with the head directly from a shoulder. It is with force. So we are emphasizing the contact point and the force involved, and that it's with a shoulder. Other than that, if the referee then still says that's yellow card for me, then we do not argue or challenge a second time. We simply go with that decision. In all of this process and conversation, if you're an assistant referee, hold your flag in front of you with 2 hands. Do not make any gestures that could give the crowd or players an indication of what you're talking about. Describe only what you saw, not what you think you saw or what other people have said since. Because it's very easy, like looking at a photograph, to remember things from your childhood that you don't actually remember. You only remember them because you've seen them in a picture. So only the things you've seen. So think about the contact point, the force involved, the outcome, and any mitigation. But do not guess. If you didn't see it, then say so. Let the referee make that recommendation. Again, as we talked about, if you disagree, repeat your view, use language to increase or decrease the section. If the referee still goes, then leave it at that. Remember where we're going to restart the game. We've talked about this a number of times about being vigilant when the ball has got dead. Do not stop watching the game. It's a line out, when the whistle goes for a scrum or a penalty or anything else. What is happening off the ball? As an assistant referee, you need to make sure you know what's happening between the players. The buzzword is watch, watch, and watch again to make sure that you know what's going on. Make sure that on the day there are no unanswered questions and no unasked questions, whether that be from the moment of the briefing with the officials right the way through the half time and through the second half, through any conversation that happens between the team. Make sure we leave nothing on the pitch. Ask yourself, because this is the hard thing as an assistant referee, am I prepared to challenge the referee in his decision? When is it best to challenge him? Do I need to do it now, or can I do it at downtime as a suggestion that that's potentially something they need to look at? How will I feel if I have to step outside the brief of the referee, or even if I have to stretch the protocol? What words will I use and how will I say them? But one of the most important questions to ask yourself is, what happens to the game if I don't challenge the referee when I feel that we should be?
Next season, here's Youngs. Beetham, clobbered by Matawala, who's won the ball. The tackle and the turnover in one easy motion, and now everybody
shooting out the line, coming around the back, shooting out the line to make the tackle. Beetham rips the ball on the floor in one movement, and he's away. Gets the ball, draws Oyertse, gets the ball to Francois Lowe. Yeah. Got a grip on that ball before it hits the ground.
Okay. The blue man ripped the ball on the ground. Okay. Just beyond the on the tackle. Okay. All right.
Comms trouble.
So before the issue with the comms, Paul Dix and JP Doyle discuss the issue. That ball has not been ripped before we've hit the ground. That was a call initially from JP. He was happy with that, and Dixie was very, very clear that the tackle was complete and then the player ripped the ball. And despite play going on, Dixie says, JP, stop the game. And JP stopped it, went back, and they discussed that before agreeing on what should happen next. It's a contentious issue, but those are the sort of things that need to be challenged. Have a look at this one.
Backwards. Time, please, Callum. No, not yet. Keep playing. 1 minute to go. 1 minute. That's his own man. Play on. Grip by Blue on the floor. Hamish, stop. Grip by Blue on the floor. Stop the game. Stop.
So, ripped by Blue on the floor.
Hold on.
Now time to breathe.
Okay. Stripped by Blue after the tackle. There's a penalty red. Okay, thank you.
So Hamish was initially happy.
No, I'm just going to...
Less than a minute to go.
Floor by the tackler. Okay, so it's going to be a penalty against it. Okay. Yeah. Stripped. 1 minute. No, not yet. The tee's on the pitch. The tee is on the pitch, Hamish. The tee's on the pitch.
So again, the referee, assistant referee called out tears on the pitch. That means they must be going for goal.
Because they brought the tee on, the tee's on the pitch, they've got to go for goal.
As explained by Hamish. Now I want you to bear in mind this is less than a minute to go. Blue stripped the ball illegally. Hamish was happy to play on because he thought it was a good rip before.
It will be time if it goes dead. That's your time.
It will be time if it goes dead. And the assistant referee made the call.
Stay behind.
It's a big call because it's led to a penalty on the 22. But I want you to continue watching this.
If it goes dead.
So the kick is successful. Look at the scoreboard. That's a big call, but a very good save from the assistant referee. When we went to review on this, this is what the assistant referee said. I had to make the match deciding decision. I am confident I got it right, but it looked really untidy. Because Hamish was distracted and saw the wrong picture, I knew I had to say something, but my comms were not the best and I don't think it helped the confusion. So why was this a good challenge? That took balls. In that moment, wanting to do the right thing for the team and the game, sometimes as officials we have to be unpopular in order to be popular. The assistant referee was strong in his determination even after the moment had passed, and immediately striving to do it better next time in his reaction. That could be next week, it could be next year. But he knew he had to make the decision. He made the right decision and he made it well. But next time, he would make it better. So as an assistant referee, we have to understand when we may be required to challenge the referee or save the referee. Are we prepared as assistant referees to do that? Are we able to read the referee and the game and be strong enough of character to back our judgment at the most difficult times and in the most difficult circumstances when everybody around you is against you and you could be hung out to dry by those in a position of influence or authority over us? That's what makes us better people and better referees. The more thought we give to things, the more comfortable we are when things go our way. We practice this, we rehearse this, we talk about this, we devise words and stock phrases that we're going to use. We understand the brief and the protocols that are expected of the best individuals have the best feel in the biggest moments and also in the biggest games. We have to be confident in ourselves without being reckless. So what I'd like you to do now is look at these and from a referee and an AR point of view, sort of role play with yourself.
22. Oh, that is at the ball.
I agree, Darren. Neither of them have taken their eye off the ball.
But he takes him out, and then Duquois will have a red for this. He's gone in. You've got to have due care, I know, and he's landed on that neck and head. I'm sorry about this for the viewers. We're not in control of the pictures. I've seen enough. I've seen enough. Duquois has to have due care of attention as well. I know he's.
So how would you input that as an assistant referee? How would you deal with it as a referee? It's very clear that one player has gone up from white for the ball and the blue player has not got anywhere near the ball, not got anywhere near high enough. He's not even facing the ball properly and he has taken the player away. That player has come down and landed on his shoulders, neck and head. So think about it now. How are you going to lead that conversation as a referee? Did you see it? First of all, stop the clock, move everybody away. Let the player get treatment and away from everybody else, have the conversation.
Smith, he's looked smooth since he came on. Oh, that's good as well. And off goes Lang. Visser.
There's the call from the AR.
Smith. Can't take it. Ball's gone forward. Cool headed Roman Poit. Now the crowd don't like the late challenge.
With old Haskell.
Jamie Roberts took a fearsome blow there.
Haskell tries to shut the outside off. What's line speed's gone? They're so terrified of making an error. The loafer stripped the ball. The width came from Marcus Smith. The long loopy pass initially invites Haskell forward. Chisholm, he goes. There's a shoulder in, there's an arm in there. And it's touch and go. Whether he would have got chest on with arms. I'm not going to listen to the crowd here. There is that's a high contact. That angle gives it away. It's an arm shot to the head.
Now in the first half, Boyce went for a no-arm challenge. The referee said it more than one occasion, pointed out to the players. That was the reason.
So, as a referee, how would you lead that conversation? As an assistant referee, what would you put in?
Chest on. That side doesn't give it away. That looks okay there. It's this side. The right arm from Haskell comes up the shoulder contact. The arm is involved, but it's high.
And for now just shelved real time because the TMO, Eric.
So as a referee, how would you deal with that? And what recommendation would you make? If you had to say, because you weren't watching, it's clearly the referee wasn't in this case, what would you say to your assistant referee? If you were the AR, how would you put that across? Put yourself in both positions and try now to describe what you'd say.
By the fullback, Vejanu.
Here's another one.
Cloutez doing what he could to slow things down, and again Leicester.
And bear in mind, this is about 25 metres in. What was seen by the AR.
Check, Jérôme. Check. Le 2 vert. Le numéro 2 vert, prise au coup.
There is a check by the TMO.
So number 2 green.
There's the challenge on Cloutez from Tom Youngs.
So this came from the TMO and not an AR. It was a little bit too far away for an AR to see. But how would you lead this?
Exact same happened in the Pro 14 last weekend. We saw a yellow card first. Looks as though it's a neck roll again. I think we could see the same outcome.
Yeah. Clear penalty.
I mean, it's a neck roll. It will be a penalty, no doubt about it.
So it's a very clear neck roll to the side. Too far away from the AR to be a credible call, and it's on the far side as well. But Jerome is looking at the ball at this point, and that's the benefit of having a TMO. But if you were the AR there, or okay, if you were the referee there, and the AR was closer and called that, bearing in mind you're looking at the ball, as a referee, how would you lead that conversation? And secondly, as an assistant referee, what would you say? So, after a very eventful first half, because everything seems to have happened in the first half, we finally get to half time, and it's now time to go back indoors or have a chat on the pitch. First of all, have a minute or so to yourself. Just chill out. It's really easy to talk about this and talk about that and talk about the other, but the first couple of minutes are the times just to chill out and gather your own thoughts. Get some water on board. Before we talk about what does the game look like, what's the structure of the game, again led by the referee, any big decisions we've had to make in the first half. Let's summarise the things that have gone on. Let's look at each of those particular aspects that we talked about in the briefing, and then we rebrief on those set areas. So, okay, the problem clearly is with blue 3 at the scrum. So I'm going to spend more time on that side in the second half to see if I can deal with that a little bit more proactively. Are there any changes to what we're doing, such as what we've just said? Are we going to reassess what we do in terms of dwelling, in terms of the line out or any other phase of play? Make sure that we reset the boundaries or change them for the second half. Hopefully the second half after a first half like that will be uneventful, and so when we finish the game, always bear in mind that if the game is videoed, you have a microphone that is live. We always make sure that we only talk to each other in downtime, i.e. half time, and after the game when that video mic has been switched off. We present whatever happens a united front to everybody. We will take part in an honest review. There will be a two-way process, and there will be questions by all parties on what we did, what we said, how we did it, and how we said it. That's the best way that we can learn, and the best way that we can involve best practice moving forward. Ask yourself, how and where do I improve? How can I improve as a team, and how can I improve as an individual? This is the way that we keep growing. We're not asking for people to be perfect on every single occasion. If you show me a player that never knocks on, that never gives a crap pass, never drops the ball, never misses a catch, never misses a tackle, then I'll show you a perfect referee. Whilst they are fallible, so are we. But it's our job to make sure we are doing the best we possibly can, particularly when there's 3 of us there. So what about the role of the 4th official? We've talked a lot about referees in the system. So the 4th official, it's I say it's an interesting job. It's the most difficult job on the rugby pitch. If everything goes right, nobody knows who you are. And if you, at any one point in time, you screw up, everybody will be on your back. So you get no recognition and all of the rubbish. If you can, then we will use a radio. You will listen where available and obviously be able to make inputs. Those inputs are at downtime, and they are for things like replacements. Should you need some time because you need to manage the technical areas, then that's fine. Just ask the referee. to go time off so that you can deal with an issue in the technical area. You may find the referee will come over or an assistant referee will come over. But you make sure that you mirror what the referee is doing. Technical areas. According to regulation, and they do differ, so you must make sure you know the regulation for all of the leagues or cups or age groups that you're doing. Certain people are allowed in the technical area and certain aren't. Any club that has a proper technical area, you will find that the bench is actually behind the barrier, because that's where coaches and replacements should be. In the technical area, outside of the barrier, should only be allowed water carriers and physios. The water carriers should be designated in advance and should not be coaches and should not get involved in coaching. Similarly for the physios. What you may well find is that not all clubs have got this facility, and a technical area, if marked out, would be acceptable to have coaches, physios, water carriers and replacements. Replacements must only warm up behind the posts and not wander up and down. And also you may find that you will get coaches trying to run water or the tee on. That's again not allowed. If you find any that are, if you don't deal with them quickly, you will very soon find that the opposition coaches will do the same. It may seem harsh, but it is necessary to maintain order and good discipline. Otherwise, people keep moving closer and closer to the touchline, onto the pitch, and eventually they'll interfere with the game. So make sure as a fourth official that you're on top of it. It may seem very much like that you're policing a little white box, but that's the way to do it. You're also the timekeeper, and you mirror the referee's watch on and off. Some referees, after a stoppage that restarts with a scrum, will not indicate to you that time has gone back on. If that's the case, your indication that time is on comes on the word crouch, and that's when the time starts again. Also, as the fourth official, it's your job to manage sim bins. Remember, please, that sim bins are 10 minutes of playing time, not just a straight 10 minutes. You must make sure that those 10 minutes include any stop starts on the clock. Make sure your paperwork is accurate. If you're in doubt, or if you don't know where the paperwork is, then please ask and we will send it to you via email. A good way of doing this is to make sure that you have substitute cards. These again are available if you ask us, and depending on the league and the number of replacements they have depends on the number of interchanges they may have. So for example, a squad of 22 will have a 12 interchanges. An interchange may well be a player coming off for a yellow card and then somebody else coming off because a prop needs to go on. So that is an interchange. A blood replacement is an interchange. So 12 interchanges in the whole game for a 7-man substitute team. Make sure that if you're fourth official, you're very well aware of the cup or the league regulations. Make sure that interchanges do not happen during penalties and only when the ball is dead. Remember placement that the ball is not dead when it's a penalty. Only when the cards are properly completed and the player is ready. There are far too many instances where coaches will say, I want to take off number 9, and yet there is no replacement card done if you have them, and the player is not waiting to come on. So make sure the basics are done first. You want number 9 coming off. Have you done the replacement card? And it's very good policy to have cards and give them to each team prior to the game. If you give them the required number, so if they're allowed 12 interchanges, if you give them 12 cards, particularly if they're colour coded beforehand, then you are at an advantage because they can't try and sneak an extra one because they don't have any more cards. Once you've received the card, make sure that they have ticked the correct box. Is it tactical? Is it injury, blood, and all the other things that may well be on there? Make sure they've signed it, and make sure, particularly for the front row, that it is actually technical or injury, because we cannot accept a front row player back onto the pitch who has been subbed through injury later on in the game. Once you're happy that everything is ready for that change, once the play is dead, if you have a radio, you can announce it on the radio, or you tell the near side assistant referee that you want to make changes. If you're the assistant referee or even the fourth official with a radio, the protocol is simply this: I have replacements please for, and then we want the colour and the number of the player who's coming off. Nothing else is necessary. Again, look at the regulations. Many leagues stipulate no more than 2 replacements at any one time. So check the regulations ahead of the game if you're appointed as fourth official, or you're appointed as an assistant referee without a fourth official, because you're going to have to manage those interchanges as well. Wait before you send a player on until the other player is off. It makes things easier. It ensures that you don't end up with 16 or more players on the pitch. Remember, as I said, we never do replacements at a penalty because the ball is not dead. And always check the regulations involved in the league or the cup fixture. I know this has been a long process. It's a very, very difficult subject to get your head around. It's very intense, and there's been a huge amount of information. There will be more coming, particularly for those of you who want to do more assistant refereeing. There'll be plenty of practical examples, but do revisit this video whenever you possibly can, just to get the basics. There is a written document that will be coming out as well, about what to do when you're appointed as an assistant referee. But we really do wish you well in all of your refereeing, working as an assistant referee, or if you're very unlucky, working as a fourth official. Thank you for your time, and hope you've learned something from this video that you can take forward into your refereeing career. Take care.